It's not looking good for Blake Lively, and Blake has one person to thank for that: herself. Blake, look in the mirror and you'll find the person responsible for your downfall, because anytime you open your mouth, you expose yourself. A quick look into her past reveals her rude behavior we've discussed in other videos, and now Blake herself is making it clear she wanted to take control just to satisfy her own creative ambitions.
Yeah, when I went in the meetings, I would just seem like I'm just there to be the actor and ready to get the gig. I wouldn't reveal that I actually need to have authorship in order to feel fulfilled. So I think that for them, sometimes that might have felt like a rug pull.
With her latest amended lawsuit, it seems like she will stop at nothing until she ruins everyone around her, including the rest of the It Ends With Us cast, if that means she can look good for 12 seconds. Hey everyone, welcome back to Scandalous Media. It's Angela here, and if you're looking for the place to be updated from start to finish on Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively's legal war, then you're in the right place. Be sure to like and subscribe for new videos each week, follow us on our social media, check out scandalous.media for inside celebrity tea, we just published a new tea spill about Blake and Ryan, and follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Everything is linked down below. We've covered both sides in depth. To be fair, Blake got a full video presenting her argument and Justin got the same. But looking at it objectively, it's hard to side with Blake because the truth and facts just don't support her case. That, plus she's highly unlikable, and when you're unlikable, the general public is simply not going to like you. It's not astrophysics, but what Blake is trying to do is take the way she came off during the press tour and turn it into a Justin Baldoni orchestrated a smear campaign against me. Meanwhile, everyone is like, actually, we can't stand you for you. I think what it truly comes down to is the fact that Blake thought she could get away with all of this, and that because Justin didn't fight back during the movie's production, she thought he wouldn't fight back at all, but that's not the case, is it? From her amended lawsuit to unearthed interviews, things aren't looking good for Blake Lively. On top of that, Blake's hand in ruining her career has also impacted her beauty brand, Blake Brown Beauty. Reports say sales have dropped by a massive 78% and products aren't even being shipped back in bulk. Turns out, people don't want to use something from someone they don't trust. Speaking of trust, when it comes to grooming, you want a brand you can rely on. This video is brought to you by Manscaped.com, the global men's lifestyle brand that is revolutionizing the landscape of men's grooming. Manscaped offers high-quality products that are guaranteed to last. Whether it's for your significant other, brother, or friend, this is a great gift idea. I got the Beard Hedger Pro Kit, which comes with the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra and the Beard Hedger. This bundle came with this hilarious shirt, which honestly makes for a great and funny gift too. The packaging is so luxurious and sleek. The Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra comes with 2 interchangeable skin-safe blade heads, one for precision trimming and the other for a smooth shave. Also, I don't know about you, but I found that men's products oftentimes work better for women, so don't let the name stop you. And yes, it's waterproof, which is amazing because it can be used in the shower, so there's no mess. It also comes with 3 different comb options, a fixed length comb, and 2 adjustable combs. It's super convenient with up to 60 minutes of runtime on a single charge and wireless Qi charging compatibility, so there's no need to worry about it dying on you mid-session. It also features a dual LED spotlight that helps you see in even the dimmest of light. Now, the Beard Hedger is great, designed to sculpt and style facial hair with precision and ease. It features a titanium-coated stainless steel T-blade and comes with 20 different length options with the zoom wheel. It's waterproof, runs for 60 minutes, and comes with all the essentials, including an adapter, USB-C cable, a length setting comb, and a travel bag. It's so important to use a high-quality machine that will last and get the job done right. Bundle up and save and get 20% off plus free international shipping when you use code SCANDALOUS at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with promo code SCANDALOUS at manscaped.com. And now, let's talk about a different type of mess that needs a public grooming of its own. Blake's amended lawsuit is full of holes. Blake is fighting hard to prove her story, and she seems to be failing because no matter what she says, no one is taking her word for it. In our deep dive on Justin Baldoni's side, we talked about many different points in Blake's original complaint that ended up being her hallucinating or something, because Justin provided evidence to show that not only did she take things out of context, but she completely lied about indisputable evidence. Like when she claimed there was no intimacy coordinator, but the truth was she just refused to meet with her, which led Justin to go over the sex scenes with her, which was deemed as inappropriate by Blake and that it should have been done with an intimacy coordinator.
What?
Or when she said that Justin harassed her by telling her she smelled good, even though that was in response to her telling him she's getting spray tan on him, which one could argue was her fishing for compliments. Her complaints and now lawsuit were full of BS like that, and I'll link my videos for more details. But her newly amended lawsuit relies on the hope that two female co-stars will support her claims against Justin, suggesting that they also had uncomfortable experiences on set with him. Because if Blake herself got exposed for skewing the truth and now everyone hates her, might as well bring down more women around her. A spokesperson for Blake stated that the complaint does not name the alleged victim witnesses or include their texts and screenshots to protect their privacy. However, The Hollywood Reporter indicated that the two women in question are Jenny Slate and Isabella Ferrer. Jenny Slate is a veteran in the industry, while Isabella Ferrer is a newcomer whose debut role has been overshadowed by this mess of a lawsuit. Blake's spokesperson said, "These victim witnesses have given Miss Lively permission to share their communications in the amended complaint as they are laid out, and they will testify and produce documents in the discovery process." The complaint is set to contain significant contemporaneous evidence that Blake was not alone in raising allegations of on-set misconduct, along with corroboration of her original claims. It also reportedly claims evidence detailing the threats, harassment, and intimidation of not just Blake, but numerous innocent bystanders. Mind you, Jenny's HR complaint is about her being unhappy with the New York City apartment she rented during filming, which, if you meet anyone in New York, most people are unhappy with their apartments. The report claims that Jamie Heath allegedly used language that made Slate uncomfortable when he responded to her housing concerns, telling her that Wayfarer would reimburse her expenses because she didn't want to lose her $15,000 security deposit. Apparently, Jamie Heath focused intensely on her role as a mom and the sanctity of motherhood. Whatever that means. So her complaint is that he was nice? Their case keeps on crumbling. According to a source, Jamie has a different understanding of their interaction, telling people that even when Wayfarer offered a kind gesture, it was weaponized against them. Isabella Ferrer has previously described Justin as a safe and welcoming director who created an environment she would never forget. In May 2023, Justin texted her saying, "You did awesome today, so happy to be working with you," and she responded saying, "Thank you for being a great director and being so wonderful to work with already." In July 2023, she texts Justin saying, "You are such a wonderful, smart, and sincere director, and you created such a comfortable, safe space for me to feel like I could fully step into this role. I couldn't have asked for a more welcoming environment. It will stay with me for the rest of my life. See you soon, whether in the fall or later, and I hope you're doing well." Smiley face, and she attached a photo that she got developed. Suddenly, she's being positioned as a witness against him? If the accusations were legitimate, why did she go out of her way to praise Justin? The timeline isn't making sense, and it's making me and a lot of people believe that Blake poisoned Isabella against him, the way Blake has previously admitted to poisoning cast members against each other. In a 2008 interview with Glamour magazine, Blake confessed that she poisoned the cast of Gossip Girl against Penn Badgley, who played the role of Dan Humphrey, aka her on-screen boyfriend, turned into real boyfriend, turned into someone she was rumored to cheat on with Ryan Reynolds. She said, "At first, I was so upset that they hired him. I actually poisoned the whole cast against him, but then they noticed that he wasn't a jerk and was actually a really nice, charming person. Almost immediately, I realized that too, but it took me about a week to admit it." I mean, what? Same with Armie Hammer, who I know isn't the most credible person to cite, but regardless of who you are, Blake will always be Blake. Armie Hammer also said that she was insufferable to work with, leading to an unconfirmed rumor that she actually got him fired.
It was also like, get him out of here.
Really?
Yeah.
So it just literally was that. Whose love interest were you?
I was Blake Lively's love interest.
You were?
Yeah.
Okay, well
Sounds like she was the problem.
It sure does.
Directors don't bully their stars the way they used to, or that's what it seems like considering these actresses are looking for a toxic work environment that, according to the facts, didn't exist. What's interesting though is that her lawsuit states, on June 8, 2023, a female cast member confided in Miss Lively that she had difficulty having conversations with Mr. Baldoni. Miss Lively responded that she, too, found it really hard to speak to him. "I try to cover it with busyness, but not sure that covers what's going on. I think we're fine. We just have some stories to tell, and who knows, if it wasn't a shit, who maybe we wouldn't have found each other in such an anchoring way, and noted that they were survivors with shared trauma. I'm sorry. I cover celebrities who have had very hard lives, and Blake Lively has always been on the other end of making people's lives harder, not the other way around. So if her idea of trauma is dealing with people not bowing down to her every day, then I think she got it pretty easy. But I'm laughing here because she's texting most likely Jenny Slate and saying that they're survivors of trauma on June 8th, but there are texts between Blake and Justin on June 9th where Blake tells Justin she's getting him a hot matcha, and then on June 10th, evil Justin, who no one has evidence against, recognizes that it's been a tough week with multiple production shutdowns due to picketers and an extra shoot day added on Saturday. So he texts Blake saying, "I just wanted to say thank you for giving this week 110%. I know how hard it must be to be shooting and also have your partner gone and feeling exhausted." To which she responds, "Thanks so much for this text. I appreciate your empathy and I give it in return. You're in the same boat." So are you a survivor of trauma of the man who actually looks like he's your victim, or are you getting him hot matcha and thanking him for his empathy? I mean, if I were Justin, I would just be losing my mind dealing with this insanity. Last month, a judge scheduled a trial date for their lawsuits in March of 2026, and both parties have already decided to skip any attempt at mediation. Justin's lawyer, Brian Friedman, released a statement in response to Blake's revised lawsuit and said that it's filled with unsubstantial hearsay of unnamed persons who are clearly no longer willing to come forward or publicly support her claims. Since documents do not lie and people do, the upcoming depositions of those who initially supported Miss Lively's false claims and those who are witnesses to her own behavior will be enlightening. What is truly uncomfortable here is Miss Lively's lack of actual evidence. The only evidence we have for Blake is Ryan Reynolds making a mockery of everything that went down at the SNL 50th anniversary special.
How's it going?
Great. Why? What have you heard?
What seemed like a funny joke at first started rubbing people off the wrong way, with many questioning the seriousness of Blake's claims if her husband is using it as a planned joke at an event. As Justin's lawyer said, "I'm unaware of anybody, frankly, whose wife has been sexually harassed and has made jokes about that type of situation." Wally Ferriston, who has worked on SNL since 1990 and is known as Cue Card Wally to fans, said that Ryan changed his joke at the last minute to make it about the drama after rehearsing a different line.
He had a different line in rehearsal and he pitched that to replace it. So that was his idea to do it.
Keep in mind that Blake has claimed that the events surrounding this lawsuit have caused her extreme emotional distress and have also deeply affected Ryan and their children. Because of those allegations, her mental health records, as well as those of Ryan and their kids, could potentially be subject to discovery in court, and yet Ryan and Blake were prancing around SNL, cackling and making jokes about the situation, so it seems like they're fine and their kids probably don't want to know what mommy and daddy are up to. The amended lawsuit reveals that Blake and others documented their experiences as they happened, starting in May 2023. On May 24th, Blake texted a mutual friend of Justin Baldoni and Jamie Heath saying, "I was gonna invite you to set tomorrow. These people, whoa. It's like HR nuts today. The both of them. I wasn't expecting that turn. I mean, it's been present, but today I came home and cried." Is she gonna give us the context of anything, or is all of this planted evidence on her takedown of the movie? Later in the conversation, she described Baldoni and Heath as creeps, adding, "Like, keep your hormones to yourself. This is not mine. I don't want it. I don't want your gaze or words or tongue or videos of your naked wife. Yeah, it's shocking. Clowns." Be sure to stay tuned to the end of the video where I show a truly creepy and borderline disturbing message that Blake sent Justin, and had Justin sent that to Blake, the people would have rioted for his arrest by now. But according to the lawsuit, just 2 days later, on May 26th, Blake reported Justin and Jamie's inappropriate behavior to Sony executive Ann Giannetti. The filing also states that Justin acknowledged the complaints in writing when reaching out to one of the women. Over the next 3 days, another female cast member also came forward, reporting Baldoni's inappropriate behavior to Ann Giannetti and one of the film's producers. Keep in mind, as discussed in my video about Justin's lawsuit, he claims that Blake repeatedly threatened to leave whenever she felt it would give her leverage over him and the film. He argues that, as a result, they were essentially pressured into signing whatever she demanded. Blake's amended lawsuit now includes a new defamation claim accusing the defendants of spreading false statements about Blake since she first filed her complaint. It also adds crisis PR manager Jed Wallace and his company as defendants. Wallace, who was hired by Wayfarer, has reportedly worked closely with Justin's lawyer Brian Friedman and crisis PR manager Melissa Nathan. Additionally, the lawsuit claims that Wayfarer co-founder and billionaire Steve Sarowitz made concerning comments to a witness, allegedly saying he would protect the studio with an extreme level of force. He is said to have referenced a large number of casualties to emphasize his point. The complaint further alleges that Sarowitz told the witness, "There will be 2 dead bodies when I'm done. Minimum. Not literally dead, but you'll be dead to me and to many others." Blake's original complaint had already accused Sarowitz of telling someone else he was willing to spend $100 million to destroy her life and her family's. So Blake wants to take on the entirety of Wayfarer and somehow everyone else is the problem except her? While Steve Sarowitz's comments, if true, are deeply disturbing, and using tens of thousands of deaths as an analogy seems to reflect the cold lack of empathy often associated with billionaires, I struggle to see how this has anything to do with Justin and the fact that Blake has been unsuccessful in proving her claims against him. Her lawsuit states that when Justin didn't want to be held accountable for allegedly making women uncomfortable on set despite the lack of evidence, he hid behind his billionaire friend. Yeah, because they were betting on legal fees burying him and forcing him to settle instead of being given a fighting chance. If anything, any text I see from Blake seems like she had previously plotted this movie takeover and wanted to put it in writing to almost trap Justin and be like, "See, I filed a complaint." But just because you filed a complaint doesn't mean that you had a reason to do so, and this is something I had originally believed when I was seeing things from Blake's point of view in my earlier videos. For example, in her initial complaint, she claimed that Justin would enter her trailer uninvited while breastfeeding, but Justin showed text proof of Blake inviting him to her trailer. And yet she had nothing to say about that in her amended lawsuit. Instead, she hits back at his claim that she wanted creative control of the film by citing emails from Sony executives that supported her version of the film and suggested that Wayfarer launched an HR investigation last month, which isn't the point. What she's leaving out again is that she repeatedly threatened to leave the film using her star power to leverage control over both Justin and Sony. This is why Justin would stay silent and agree to whatever complaint she had. He didn't want her to leave the film and risk losing money, especially with a budget already stretched thin by Blake's wardrobe choices. The fact that she was even considered to show her cut of the film when she was just an actor with an honorary producer credit and no real decision-making power is the conversation she keeps avoiding. Why would showing your cut even be an option, especially when the actual director didn't get to see the final cut until the premiere? But I guess according to her, manipulating the situation is just part of her strategy. Blake exposes herself. A nearly 3-year-old Forbes interview with Blake went viral where she admitted to seeking creative control on projects beyond her role as an actress.
Sometimes I would have people who really resented that because they were like, "We just hired you to be an actor." Yet when I went in the meetings, I would just seem like I'm just there to be the actor and ready to get the gig.
She literally admits to pretending to be just an actor at meetings and would deliberately not reveal that she would need authorship to be fulfilled.
I wouldn't reveal that I actually need to have authorship in order to feel fulfilled. So I think that for them, sometimes that might have felt like a rug pull because you're like, you're trying to assert yourself into something that we didn't hire you to do.
Notice how it's all about her? For her to be fulfilled. I'm telling you, it's all ego. Justin has accused her of undermining his authority on set and provided evidence showing him conforming to her demands, and yet she was still unhappy. The way it's easy for her to lie, skew the truth, and demand things that she has no right to is insane, and people like that are insufferable. But let's let Blake continue exposing herself, shall we? In her original complaint, it stated that Justin leaned forward and slowly dragged his lips from her ear and down her neck as he said, "It smells so good." She claimed that none of this was remotely in character and that there was no dialogue. Justin hit back by releasing the 10-minute raw footage showing that Blake was engaging in convo the whole time and he was actually in character, contrary to what she tried to insinuate the first time around. Also, a bunch of people were around them, the camera was filming their scene, and he was replying back to her fishing for compliments about the smell of her spray tan.
Well, it's not that, it's the body.
After the scene was up, he left and was like, "Peace."
All right, cut.
Now in the amended lawsuit, she tries to downplay it to Justin spontaneously improvising the scene. Now I find this so annoying because you're an actor and you're playing love interests. Yes, there is no sound because music will replace the sound, so all there's left is to actually act, which Justin was doing. The fact that Justin made it a comfortable experience by communicating with her throughout the scene made things less awkward. Imagine having to pretend you're completely in your own world as the script calls for, but you're as stiff as a robot because you're scared to, God forbid, move an eyebrow in a way that wannabe director Lively didn't approve of? It's ridiculous. And improvised scenes are usually the best and fan favorites because they bring a sense of authenticity and realness to the screen, which allows the viewer to see beyond two people just acting. You're not getting essayed because you're asked to slow dance and be in your own world. It wasn't a gotcha moment. And it's not like Justin was doing anything wrong, the man was just acting. The fact that she turned it into this whole thing is very unprofessional, very childish, and quite frankly, if you can't handle a romantic scene at work, maybe you're not cut out for the job. I know this is a nightmare situation and no one would ever want to hire Blake if this is how she'll manipulate a scene that everyone is a witness to. We have people doing actual stunts and Blake is over here complaining about acting. But is it Blake complaining or Ryan? We explored this theme in the last video, and as we exposed on our blog about 10 years ago, Ryan was reportedly very over-controlling with Blake and didn't want her to act, which is why she didn't for a few years post Gossip Girl. Suddenly we're supposed to believe that this scene that's documented for all of us to see is Blake getting harassed? What do you guys think? Speaking of Ryan, people should be more concerned with the fact that he staged an entire planned paparazzi shoot in January with what seemed like planted fans, with all of them holding the same photo and asking for an autograph. This isn't 2008. We can tell when something is so clearly staged. All the boards have the same blue and green tape, the paparazzi aren't asking him any questions, but everyone is peacefully carrying around the same exact poster for him to sign.
Every single poster in this video is made by the same person, the exact same tape, and they were all using the exact same fucking marker. Also, when you watch the video, not a single phone in sight. It's 2025.
It's so bizarre, and this creator also made a good point, saying that there isn't a single phone in sight in the year 2025. On to another topic of, do they think we're stupid? Blake's lawsuit states, and notwithstanding their complaints today that Miss Lively supposedly seized control of Mr. Baldoni's film, that did not stop Mr. Baldoni from proudly marketing the film as his work on release, although Mr. Baldoni privately confessed that he did not even see the final cut of the film until the premiere. He repeatedly and publicly took credit for the film, while Miss Lively generally downplayed her contributions. It's almost as if it was his own film that he directed and brought to life while dealing with this annoying pest who's constantly like, I want to change this, I want to do this, I want authorship to feel fulfilled. She practically stole this film, coerced everyone into releasing her cut, iced him out of his own production, threw him to the basement, and talked so much about all her contributions, whether it was her clothing or her bestie Taylor or Gigi's clothes or Ryan reworking a major scene. I mean, the delusion to legally say that she downplayed her contributions is insane. In every interview, she didn't know how to stop talking about herself.
Lily Bloom is, oh, look at me in flowers, Lily Bloom. What's your childhood dream? To wear Britney Spears' Versace dress.
Best part in making this movie?
I've noticed so many beautiful crystals on teeth. Is that a big fashion thing? Cutest jeans ever that I'm wearing tomorrow night. Also not sponsored.
Even when it was time for Isabella to talk, she had to interrupt her.
Best part about making this particular film?
For you guys.
All of it. I mean,
About teeth gems.
yes, that was really the highlight.
And she turned a film about DV into her personal fashion show, yet blamed everyone else around her.
I mean, I love Lily's style.
Really cute. And they've got flowers.
Or my husband's clothes, or my girlfriend Gigi's clothes. I was borrowing some. Those are my real life jeans. Those are my boots.
those boots are so good.
Those are my real life boots.
I don't dress like this in real life, but like I'm having to like do interviews and talk, so I'm gonna wear like a crazy.
Self-awareness is nowhere to be found. Her lawsuit states, unlike Wayfarer and Mr. Baldoni, Miss Lively has been precluded from not only experiencing the success of the film, but also from having the ability to engage further with her business, fans, and social media followers without immediately triggering an onslaught of hateful and violent comments. I'm sorry, who was banished to the basement with his loved ones and only attended one premiere? Right, Justin. who practically mocked DV victims, calling them hysterical women?
That like about the female emotion, and it's just like hysterical women.
Right. Who also involved themselves in picking out the music for a movie so it can have an edgy and sexy tone despite complaining about being perceived as sexy by anyone who looks at her?
You know, songs that like feel a little bit more sexy or feel a little bit more cool or feel a little bit more edgy. It's not just like female empowerment music.
It wasn't Justin and his team digging up these clips. They were clips from the press tour that were actively being posted on our For You pages, which garnered this authentic and organic reaction of everyone collectively saying, "What the f is she doing?" Everyone was turned off by Blake simultaneously. Just look at the way she looks at Isabella when she starts talking here about what music resonated with her.
It's a song called Do You Realize? I have like images in my head when I think of that song.
And then she brings up Taylor Swift again.
He's off, and so that's what our intention was with Strangers, and then also with My Tears Ricochet.
The bestie who is no longer her bestie, because Taylor, who's also the godmother of her children and her best friend of 10 years, is even turned off by Blake. Isabella looks very uncomfortable the entire interview, and frankly, it seems like she's always uneasy when she's around Blake, who acts like she's her little doll who had the world's greatest honor of playing the young her. But what's truly infuriating with Blake is her hypocrisy. The hypocrite who couldn't stop flirting or lying. Blake went on a whole tangent to Justin about how she wanted her character to look much sexier, and to her, that is with this beanie. His lawsuit notes that she describes herself as a ball buster, a word that if Justin had used, suddenly he's a creepy loser who can't stop ogling her. Even after the alleged harassment and uncomfortable situations that she claims occurred, she still invited him to her trailer while she was pumping to work out lines. And this was all discussed in the deep dive on Justin's lawsuit, which Alana beautifully covered, so check it out. His lawsuit states that Lively herself set the tone for personal discussions on set, including what language was acceptable. For example, on one occasion while filming a restaurant scene, Lively sat on the floor in painfully expensive shoes while discussing with a group of male cast and crew how sexy her shoes were. Lively had no issue using the word sexy herself, but apparently took note both times Baldoni said the word in her presence. Blake said that Justin told her, "I think you look sexy," in a tone that made her feel ogled and exposed. Meanwhile, the context was a reference to a scene where everyone was wearing onesies, but Blake was covering her onesie with a big coat. Justin asked that she take off the big coat so that her onesie would be visible in the scene, saying that it will be hot as it was 90 degrees in the small bar with no air conditioning. Blake manipulates this by mischaracterizing this in her complaint as Justin referring to her personally as hot, even though she had earlier expressed to him that she wanted her character's wardrobe to be sexier. The cherry on top of this whole sexy debacle is that Blake herself couldn't stop using that word during an interview for her movie, A Simple Favor, where she also convinced the studio that menswear would be hot, sexy, and fun.
The studio and whatnot, they want women to be sexy, so they were like, it's not going to be sexy if she's buttoned all the way up to her neck and bow ties, and we were like, just trust us, it's going to be super hot, it's going to be so sexy, because she's so bold and daring, or like different surprises. Like I had this idea.
Nice to know that also on the set of A Simple Favor, she had demanded that her vision be brought to life exactly as she imagined it. This also feeds the theory that she was hitting on Justin and flirting with him, and when he didn't mirror her advances, she turned around and accused him of doing what in reality, she was doing to him. Here is one of the most bizarre things she's done that Justin wouldn't have lived down had he written those messages. She had sent him a flirty text in April 2023, where she wrote, "If you knew me in person longer, you'd have a sense of how flirty and yummy the ball busting would play. It's my love language, spicy and playfully bold, never with teeth."
What?
For someone who's claiming Justin harassed her for simply doing his job as a director and actor, what the hell would this be considered? But the text continues. She says, "And him serving it back to her is just as important. You don't usually see both the man and woman with such agency and humor. Anyway, I can act it out for you next week to make sure it comes through, or I can send it now. Let me know what you prefer. XX, aka hugs."
Okay, so there's some education that needs to be done. I can see that.
Justin doesn't reciprocate at all, responding by saying, "Sorry, I was just crying my eyes out as kids and family just left for another 5 weeks and it was a shit show." Basically like, girl, I got a wife and kids. His next text takes her from her little seduction attempt where she tries to personalize everything between them and brings her back to earth saying, yes, send, it's so important to the film, and then mentions how her character Lily needs to be strong, witty, playful, and bold, which is why he wanted Blake to play her. She makes everything so awkward and it's just embarrassing on her part. Now I have 2 more embarrassing things to show you guys before I end this video. Firstly, we started off this video talking about Blake's Forbes interview where she exposes her intention to start off as just an actor only to bully herself into a role with more authorship.
You're trying to assert yourself into something that we didn't hire you to do.
Well, in her August 2024 Vogue interview, she openly admits that she doesn't enjoy starting from scratch, preferring instead to tweak someone else's finished work, describing it as a treasure hunt. She says, a blank page is not nearly as exciting to me as starting with a script and finding something people have overlooked, saying no, 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 there's something there. To me, it's a treasure hunt, and so when I can see the treasure, then I get to be an archaeologist. I get to excavate, I get to carve it out and find this thing and show people the value in it. That to me is what I love.
You really think you're a normal person?
She thinks way too highly of herself. But lastly, nothing like being caught in a lie, huh? In Blake's own words, she admits to not having heard of Colleen Hoover before this movie.
I lived under a rock because I hadn't heard of Colleen Hoover before they came to me with this movie.
And then later says that she was excited to do this movie because she saw Colleen's name.
Reason that I was excited to do this movie is that I saw the mention of your name. I was like, oh wow, her voice resonates with people. How she tells stories and what she's telling reaches out and grabs so.
So what is the truth?
She didn't even read the book and she had to Google Lily Bloom's hair color and now she's lying to Colleen's face? After Blake's initial filing, Colleen was quick to show support for Blake, posting a photo of the two sharing a warm embrace on Instagram, writing, "At Blake Lively, you have been nothing but honest, kind, supportive, and patient since the day we met. Thank you for being exactly the human you are. Never change, never wilt." Colleen also added a link to an article detailing the allegations Blake has made against Justin. Just recently, she deleted everything Blake on her Instagram after deactivating her page for a short while. She had also deleted everything Justin related, but it's not like she sided with him to begin with. This whole thing is crazy, but one thing is for sure. Blake Lively has been caught in multiple lies and all her evidence seems planted to carry out this takeover plan that didn't go her way. What do you guys think about everything that has transpired and her new amended lawsuit? How do you think this is going to end? And of course, whose side are you on? We covered the entire saga from start to end in a whole playlist, so check it out to be caught up to date. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and don't forget to check out Manscaped for 20% off plus free international shipping using my code. Be sure to like and subscribe for new videos each week, follow us on our social media, check us out on podcast form, and as always, I'll see you next time.